So, my first book I read this year was this book by Jodi Picoult, Wish You Were Here. Do you think it's actually Picoult? Somebody tell me how you pronounce that. I've always said Picoult, but Picoult? I don't know. I think it's Picoult. Someone tell me if I'm saying it wrong, please. For the love of God. So, this is called Wish You Were Here. It's a brand new read. I just got it for Christmas. The synopsis you can just see. Well, let me read it to you and then we'll talk about it. So it says, Diana O'Toole is perfectly on track. She'll be married by 30, done having kids by 35, and move out to New York suburbs, all while climbing the professional ladder in the cutthroat art auction world. She's an associate specialist at Sotheby's, but her boss has hinted at a promotion if she can close a deal with a high-profile client. She's not engaged just yet, and she knows that her boyfriend will be She knows that her boyfriend Finn, a surgical resident, is about to propose on the romantic getaway to the Galapagos, days before her 30th birthday, right on time. But then a virus that felt worlds away has appeared in the city. And then on the eve of departure, Finn breaks the news. It's all hands on deck at the hospital. He has to stay behind, but you should still go, he assures her, since it would be a shame for all the non-refundable trip to go to waste. And so reluctantly she goes. Almost immediately, Diana's dream vacation goes away. Array. Oh my goodness, array. Her luggage is lost, the Wi-Fi is nearly non-existent, and the hotel they booked is shut down due to the pandemic. In fact, the whole island is now under quarantine, and Diana is stranded until the borders reopen. Completely isolated, she must venture beyond her comfort zone. Slowly, she carves out a connection with a local farmer when a teenage girl with a secret opens up to Diana, despite her father's suspicions of outsiders. In the Galapagos Islands, where Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection was formed, Diana finds herself examining her relationship, her choices, and herself, and wondering if when she goes home, if she will too have evolved into someone completely different. So all of that being said with that book, I loved it immediately. Like, I loved the premise of it. When I had read the synopsis for it months ago, I knew I had to have it. I knew I had to read this. And in my head, I saw Diana going there and then immediately falling in love with the daughter, and immediately falling in love with what was his name? I can't remember his name. Despite her father's... I'm going to have to find his name now. That's just going to bug me. Hang on. Of course, it's Gabriel. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Mostly because my brain doesn't work. So, I have a hard time remembering stuff. That's why I'm doing this video. Even though I read this book, I think, right after the New Year. So, it was my first one on Goodreads. So, it's been a hot minute. So, yeah. But the daughter's name is Beatrice, and the father's name is Gabriel, and he's a chef. And turns out that Diana's luggage all disappears. A diver comes, and when she gets to the resort, it's shut down, so she has to stay somewhere. And she has no money, no American, or she only has American money. So she doesn't have any actual money, and she can't get to the bank because the banks are all closed because of the pandemic. So basically, the whole island she's staying at is completely closed, and she can't leave because she can't leave, obviously, because it's shut down. So she's staying with a nice old lady, and turns out that that's Gabriel's mother. Now, I can't remember the mother's name, because again, I'm not good with that. But she starts becoming really close with the locals that are there, and they consider her, family, and, a lot of stuff happens. Abelella. No. Abrella. Can't pronounce it. See, I can't pronounce anything today. Let's see. I'll show you the word. Anyway, she's staying with them, so then she gets really, really close with Gabriel and the daughter, and like predicted, she does, spoiler, fall in love with him and the daughter. And in my mind, I thought, you know what? So much happened leading up to that moment before she left on the trip that I didn't actually blame her. And sadly, I think that if it was me, I would have done the exact same thing, and I would have left my whole life for this person and his daughter and stayed there. And that's what I hoped was going to happen. And that's what I really thought that the story was about. So I was intrigued. I was in tears. It was halfway through the book. So I was like, oh my God, I love this book. It was the best book. I'm so glad it was the first book I read this year. And then something happened. So if you don't want to know any further spoilers, turn this off now. Leave it here. Leave me a comment, a like, subscribe. Leave it here. Know that this was a good book. I will leave my Goodreads review down below for it. And you can go and see everyone else's Goodreads too. I mean, and there's a lot that don't have spoilers, so see you later. But if you do want to know spoilers, continue on. Okay, so here's the big gut punch. The big one that I was like, hey, you know what? This book to me was a 5 out of 5 easily up until this point. And then all of a sudden, I didn't want to read it anymore. Like, I finished it, and I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 in the end, I think. But it wasn't what I wanted. It made me cry, and not in a good way. I like to cry in a good way when I read a book. This did not make me cry in a good way. This made me cry in a, you know what, I don't want to think about the pandemic. Yeah, they mentioned the pandemic a little bit. They, you know, like, obviously, so I knew there was going to be some talk about it, but not as much as I thought. And there's a huge spoiler, huge twist. After she makes love to Gabriel, and then, you know, like, basically, I think he says he loves her, and, you know, like, she's gonna decide to stay there. Let's see. And she's been sending postcards back and forth to the boyfriend, who still hasn't proposed after 7 years. Come on. You didn't need a vacation to do that, buddy. But anyways, she's been sending them, or she thought that they were getting sent by the daughter. She said that she was sending them. She thought, like, she's been sending emails. She thought that they were coming through, going through. Because sometimes they would open up the island Wi-Fi just for emergencies when they could get the generator working. And then at one point, the mother, she gets a notice that saying that her mother passed away. So she gets to actually FaceTime with her mom as she's passing away, and then she passes away while she's on FaceTime with her, I think. So she gets that kind of closure, and she doesn't have a really good relationship with her mom, so she's, you know, like, she gets that closure she needs, and that was great. And a bunch of other things happen. I mean, like, so much happens that I can't even possibly go through it all, and I won't go through it all. I mean, you can read it for yourself, and I don't want to give that much away to it. But, so they go scuba diving, and one of the things is in the book is that Gabriel has given, or he has stopped his tours of the island, or he took over the tours of the island because his dad did that, and his dad was a scuba diver instructor as well, and he went out scuba diving with a team in the tours and then lost someone, and then his dad disappeared as well, so presumably dead. And that was always something that Gabriel worried about and that he had a lot of guilt about. So then he takes her out doing scuba diving, and then like basically the same thing happens, and he's worried, like he's gonna lose her. So he's trying to hold on to her, he slings one arm around me, swinging for both of us, but I can feel his stroke slowly and his body getting heavier. Oh my god, this can't happen to him again. I slip out of his hold. The waves are so big this far out they can crash over my head, and every time I try to answer him, I just swallow water. Our bodies are trying to fight the inevitable, and I heard that all you have to do is be peace and give in. So that's where it kind of ends, and then it's like 7, and then there's a bunch of words, and then you're like, oh, okay, so blink once for yes, blink twice for no, don't try to talk, it's so bright I have to close my eyes. So you're like, oh, cool. She survived, she's in a hospital somewhere, she survived, but then someone's like, you're going to be okay now, and they start talking about her having COVID, and it's Finn, her boyfriend, and she's like, oh my god, like, did they bring me back to the United States? Because how did they do that? Or is Finn here? Like, what's going on? And then we find out that, dun dun dun, she's been in a coma this whole entire time, and she never even went on that trip. So Gabriel wasn't real, the daughter wasn't real, none of it was real. So I was really, really pissed off about that. I did not like that. I was sad, I was angry, I was gonna throw the book in the friggin' trash. I mean, well, not really, I would never do that, but it did not sit well with me. I hated it. And then I picked it back up, put my big girl panties on, and decided, hey, I'm gonna finish it and see where it goes. And I'm glad I did, because I understood where the storyline was going and why it had to do it and what she was trying to prove with doing it, and it was something no one's ever done before. And apparently it's true that a lot of people who are in induced comas have these strange dreams and that feel really real, and when they come out they can't understand why it wasn't real. And the problem is that she's still very much in love with him because it was so real to her that she can't get past that. And her relationship obviously changes with Finn, and he blames himself because he's working all kinds of weird hours at the hospital, and he comes back, and then he gave her COVID basically, because they didn't know all the different things that they were supposed to do, like get naked as soon as you come in the house, take your clothes, put them in the washing machine, etc., etc. I mean, I don't do that anymore, but I was doing that when we were leaving the house, and he's a doctor. So he blames himself. All of this stuff, resonates, and they start fighting, and she's trying to go back to sleep so that she could dream about him, and she finds out what happened when she was in the coma, and that her letters were just things that she was mumbling, and that he was talking, and she could hear them talking to her, but she didn't know that. And kind of like the Grey's Anatomy storyline all of last year, where Meredith was in a coma and she saw Derek. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched that. I mean, that's what it all reminded me of, and it took me a long time to wrap my head around this. I wanted a love story, which is it even a love story if somebody cheats on their boyfriend and then goes and leaves them for somebody else? Probably not, but I wanted that. I wanted this book to be I don't want to read about COVID. I don't want to read about people having COVID. I don't want to read about somebody in a coma having COVID. I don't want to read about tens of millions of people dying and vaccines and stuff. I live this every single day. I don't want to read it in a book that's supposed to take me away from that. And I kind of felt duped. And there's a lot of hate for it. There's a lot of people who hated this book because of it. A lot of people didn't give it a chance that it deserved. They didn't finish it. And like on Goodreads, there's so many people that gave it a very poor rating because of this fact. And I get it. I completely get it. But they should have given it a second chance, I think. I mean, I regret thinking all those things. No, I don't regret it, but I shouldn't have thought all those things, maybe. Because it did turn out, you know, that it was an interesting storyline. And, excuse me. And Diana's mom does end up dying of COVID, and she has to go say goodbye to her and do all of that all over again. But then she gets to like hang out with her mom. Like her mom's inside, she's outside. They kind of talk through this like this wall, and her mom doesn't know who she is because she has Alzheimer's. And also, she was never there for her. So she gets to say goodbye to her again, but she feels like, oh my god, I already said goodbye to her, so what, like, why do I, it's not fair, I have to do this again, but she really didn't. So she ends up breaking up with him in the end. They go their separate ways. He does ask her to marry him, and she says no, and she realizes that she doesn't want this life. She doesn't want to be an assistant to somebody that she doesn't like. She doesn't want to, she wants to like sell her own artwork. She wants to be an artist. So that was kind of sad, but also I completely understood it. And then there was this whole epilogue where she does go there to the Galapagos. She does in May 2023, and she does, well, I'm not going to tell you the ending. She does may or may not meet Gabriel. Let's just leave it at that. So, anyways, I liked it in the end. Like I said, I didn't like it, but I did like it. So, I highly recommend it. If you are going to read anything this year, go ahead and check this one out. Let me know in the comments if you've already read it, if you are planning on reading it, if you thought that this was helpful or too spoilery. I don't know. I always kind of tread lightly, but this one you kind of can't. So, I don't know. Anyways, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.